Welcome to Ice Cream with Authors, the podcast that brings mini author visits straight to your home or car. I'm Becca Werwell, one of your hosts and award-winning author of the Road Trip Rescue series.
And I'm Amanda Trumpauer, your other host. I write for Jesus lovers who dig dragons, detectives, and droids.
Imagine sitting down with your favorite scoop of ice cream and chatting with the authors who write the stories you love. That's exactly what we do here. Whether you're a kid or a grown-up who loves faith-filled chapter books and middle-grade adventures, this is the place for you.
Each episode, we dive into delightful conversations with inspiring Christian writers, discovering new books and sweet stories that nourish the soul. So grab your ice cream, get cozy, and let's share a treat together.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ice Cream with Authors. Today, we're interviewing Marty Machowski, the author of many books that blend fictional story and Bible study. Today, we're talking about his Redemption Tales series. And because of that, Amanda, my question for you is, how does the theme of redemption show up in your stories?
I don't think I could say that it strongly shows up in any collar cases or Power Pup books, or at least not any that are written at the time of this recording. But I think I've alluded to my adult fantasy novel on the show before. It's Robin Hood themed, and it combines the story of Robin Hood with superpowers. But that particular book does have fairly strong themes of redemption, as each of the three main characters are working through issues in their faith and how it relates to the relationships they have with the people around them. You obviously have heavily used the theme of redemption in your books.
Yeah, I guess having it in one of my book titles kind of gives it away. But Road Trip Redemption, which is the third and final book in my Road Trip Rescue series, obviously deals with a lot of themes of redemption. It is from the point of character view of Jada, who was the bad guy in the first book, essentially. She was the character who had bullied Kimmy. And so you get her side of the story and her journey to redemption, toward seeing that Jesus is the one who heals and he is the one who forgives and redeems, and also to seeing, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but seeing how redemption shows up in other ways in the relationships in that story as well.
I feel like the fact that you're a Christian author who tells stories filled with hope at least alludes to some of the nature of the ending.
Yes, I think so too. I think that many readers could probably guess as to what might happen with their friendship by the end of the story. But I guess you don't know how you're going to get there. That's the journey
And that
the story
really
takes you on.
Yes, and that really is the satisfying part of the journey for sure.
Yeah, so with that, let's jump into our interview with Marty.
Our guest today is Marty Machowski. Marty is a pastor and author of over 25 books for church and home. Many of Marty's books blend Bible study with fictional story to help families apply the truth they learned from his gospel-rich resources. Marty, thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be with you, Amanda.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you here, Marty. So to start, since this is Ice Cream with Authors, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
My favorite ice cream flavor is peanut butter ripple.
Oh, I love peanut butter.
Me too.
Yeah, it seems like it should be a vegetable or like a bean or something, but it tastes so good.
See, that's the good thing, because it's healthy, right? Because it's from a plant, and so it's like
Right.
eating salad when you eat peanut butter ice cream.
It
Right.
is absolutely like eating a vegetable. I tell my wife that all the time when I get my second helping.
And does she believe you?
No.
Well, we tried. Okay, Marty, tell us about your chapter book series, Redemption Tales, and book one, The Shadow and the Promise.
Well, the Redemption Tales series is a series of 4 books that goes through the Bible, telling some of the most famous Bible stories, but from the perspective of the animals who were there or could have been there. And so we start in the beginning with Genesis and the creation of Adam and Eve in the fall. And there are 2 rock badgers present to see it all unfold. And of course, we have the arch villain himself, the serpent. And he comes in, and I've got groundhogs in the Tower of Babel. I have cats in the palace of Pharaoh. And I have one very lonely, lost ostrich in Joseph being betrayed by his brothers. So that gives you a little bit of a taste for the first book. And all these characters have their own little story going while the drama of Scripture unfolds before them.
I can tell from reading some of the first book that you have a love for animals, and even from hearing you talk now about the animals who might have been there, and obviously writing books from the perspective of animals. So I'm curious, how has your love of animals inspired the story? And also, are there any like fun animal facts that you discovered along the way while you were writing?
Well, I think that I've always been a lover of animals. And so I imagined, okay, what kind of animals would actually have been there? So, in terms of fun fact, I discovered that the Arabian ostrich roamed all of Palestine and the wilderness around Judea for a long time. So, Jesus would have been walking with this Arabian ostrich running around. And it wasn't until the 1800s that that particular type of ostrich became extinct. But in Jesus's day, there were ostriches. Who would have thunk it?
That's so interesting. Yeah, that's going to change the way I read Bible stories now. I'm going to be reading the Sermon on the Mount and picturing an ostrich like walking by
Mentally
in the
insert.
background.
Yeah, and Job, the way that he describes ostriches are really interesting. They pay no mind to their young. The moms lay their eggs and abandon them and go on their way. And well, let's put it this way. What the Bible says in Job is when God was dishing out brains, he didn't give much to the ostrich.
Oh, that is awesome. I have 6-year-old twins, and my daughter in particular is currently obsessed with a animal educational cartoon called Wildcrats. And so she's all the time spouting these animal facts to me that I did not know. So now I can spout one to her and I can say, "Hey, did you know that ostriches were around in Jesus's time?"
Absolutely. Who would have thought of that?
So your bio says that you are also a pastor in addition to an author, and that you have served in the same church for 37 years, which is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has the Bible inspired your writing?
Well, the Bible has power. The Bible itself says that the Word of God is living and active, sharper than a two-edged sword, able to cut to the heart. And so, what you see is the Bible is more than stories. The Bible is life. The Bible gives the words of life, it teaches you the way of salvation. And so, there is no more important book for kids to learn. Isn't it so great that God filled the Bible with so many exciting stories? You have, the man who goes on the search for the pearl of great price. You've got the plagues of Egypt. You've got Jesus and his miracles, the beginning of the church, and the defeat of evil and of sin, and the victory of Jesus overall. I mean, that's all contained in the Bible. What a great book.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about redemption, and I love that the word redemption is in the title of your series, the Redemption Tales series, and just the power of telling kids about redemption and how God has redeemed this world, and how you're presenting that in such a unique way through the lens of animals. But it's so powerful to see that. So you love animals, you're a pastor, and you're also an inventor. So can you tell us more about that? What else do you invent besides stories?
Well, my major is industrial design. And so one of the things that industrial designers do is invent toys. And so I love inventing games. And I've invented a game called Stand that our youth ministry has played now for almost 2 decades. And it's a game you play out in the field. There are two 10-foot posts, and at the top of the post is a large ball. And the goal is to knock the ball off the post with a smaller ball. And it kind of works like ultimate frisbee, only instead of scoring a goal and across the line, you knock the ball off the pole. And I can tell you, it is so thrilling when you launch this little tiny ball and you hit the big one and it falls off the pole. Everybody cheers. And I invented that game.
That's amazing. My husband and I are big Ultimate Frisbee fans. Not that we're talented or athletic; we just enjoy trying. And we played so hard one time that I actually tore my ACL in my knee, and I had to get surgery
Ouch.
for it. But it was a great game. We had a lot of fun, and I feel like risking an ACL injury would be totally valid for playing Stand. That sounds like so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. We play it every year during our annual youth camp, and it is the camp favorite year after year after year.
Camp was exactly what I had in mind as you were talking, because I used to work as a camp counselor and I went every year growing up to this Christian wilderness camp. And I thought that seems like exactly the kind of game that everyone there would have loved.
Awesome.
So you have quite a few books in your backlist, lots of different types of books as well. Are you working on anything new that we should be excited for?
I am. I have a book that is coming out in the fall called The Sword. It is a book that teaches Paul's letter to the Romans from the perspective of a Roman gladiator who was shipwrecked with Paul and eventually became one of the guards watching over him during his arrest in Rome. And while he was arrested with Paul, Paul taught him of his letter to the Romans and had him translate a copy for himself so that he would have his own personal copy. And The Sword are his long lost Bible study notes from his times with the Apostle Paul. And for the reader, not only do you learn about the book of Romans, but you also have to discover the mystery of the swords.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds really interesting. What age is that written for?
It is written for a read aloud for parents of younger children, but the sweet spot is, let's say, 8 to 12-year-olds, right in that zone.
Becca and I are having the same exact thought right now. Would you like to share it, Becca?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to come back on the show later to talk about The Sword?
I would be glad to.
Very good. Very good. Well, for right now, we're going to pause to hear an excerpt from The Shadow and the Promise.
Chapter 1 Dragon Garden. Before sin's curse fell upon the earth, 2 young badgers chased each other through a row of trees. In their excitement to explore their new world, they didn't notice a shadow pass over them. They didn't hear the flap of a dragon's wings overhead. They didn't see the creature descend into a tree above them. The dragon, however, saw the badgers and watched their every move. "You can't catch me, Badge!" shouted Rock playfully. Rock sped along a path that wound along a ridge. He wove through the trees and over the Valley of Eden. Then he crouched between 2 trees to hide and catch his breath. His heart pounded loudly, so loudly he thought Badge would hear it. Suddenly, Badge sped past his hiding place, and all at once stopped. She turned her head this way and that, and called out, "Rock! Rock! Where are you?" Rock didn't make a sound. As he stood still, hidden under a bush, he watched the trees along the border of the garden. He could see them growing. A vine tendril spiraled around a sapling, which pulled the vine skyward. Rock felt the tree behind him, expanding. The scratch of the bark on his back felt good as it stretched and cracked. Rock waited, looking for Badge so he could catch her by surprise. But she didn't come back. He listened closely, but she had run on. Rock called, "I'm hiding!" But there was silence. "Badge?" he called again. "Why doesn't she answer?" Meanwhile, from above, the dragon watched Badge circle back toward her friend. He noticed her stealthy approach. A girl after my own heart, hoping to catch him by surprise. He grinned. A sinister laugh grew from his core. It rumbled from the depths of his belly and up his long throat. It vibrated through the bones of his clenched jaw, but he held it in. Badge crept quietly and saw Rock behind a tree. She caught the slight movement of his head as he peered toward the path. Then she leapt toward him without warning and shouted, "Gotcha!" Rock jumped a foot into the air and screamed, "Yow!" Badge fell to the ground laughing. Rock looked at her sternly. "Very funny," he said, while Badge continued rolling on the ground. Then Rock smiled and started laughing too. "All right, you got me." "I got you to squeal," she laughed. "You had it coming, trying to trick me first." "I guess I did," Rock laughed. The badgers loved life. Each day brought delight and discovery. They lived in a perfect world, free from evil. Until today. Today, the dragon entered the land, determined to dethrone Adam and take up his crown as the god of this world. Rock had an idea. He shouted, "Badge, race you to that tree!" He pointed, then took off toward the tree where the dragon was perched, hidden high in the canopy. The dragon watched as Rock approached, and Badge trailed close behind. Just as they reached the tree, the dragon dropped from above. Neither badger heard the ripple of dragon's wings as he descended, legs first, claws spread wide, ready. The dragon landed with a thud on the ground. The badgers, stunned, looked at the beast who was as tall as Adam. With an outstretched wing, the dragon snatched Badge, gripping her tightly in clasped claws. "Put her down!" Rock demanded. "Put her down, or I'll—" The dragon interrupted. "You'll do what, little furball?" "Put her down, or I will tell Adam. He's the ruler here." The dragon's chest rumbled in a deep, low, mocking groan. "Adam, you're going to tell Adam on me. Funny, I'm actually on my way to see him now. I've got something to tell him myself." "Who are you, and what do you want with Adam?" Rock asked. "Call me Serpent," he replied. "And as for Adam, I'll leave him alone for now. It's the woman, Eve, I'm after." "Leave her alone!" screamed Badge as she struggled to escape the dragon's grip. "Feisty thing," mocked the dragon. "No need to fight." The dragon dropped Badge to the ground. "I meant no harm." Badge stood tall and demanded, "Why are you after Eve?" "To introduce her to the forbidden fruit. She's been told that if she eats it, she will die. But I say instead she will become like God. The fruit of that tree looks so good, so ripe and juicy. That, my furballs, is a temptation you can sink your teeth into. Now you've delayed me long enough. Destiny's calling." The dragon sneered as he spread his wings, thrust them downward, and soared over their heads. As he rose and his shadow fell on the badgers, he hissed, "May the shadows of darkness fill this land!" 2 serpent fangs popped from the front of his upper jaw. The hollow spikes dripped. "The time for death has come!" With a flap of wings, he sped into the center of the garden. "We must warn Adam and Eve," Badge shouted. "Let's go," said Rock, plowing ahead. But soon the thick new growth of the forest slowed their progress. They fought their way through the tangle of plants and vines. Giant leaves blocked the sunlight. They ran downhill toward the garden's center, but once the land leveled, they lost their sense of direction. "Which way, Badge?" Rock asked. "I think we're lost," she moaned. Badge pushed 2 tall ferns apart, hoping to see the sky above. But the trees hid any hint of the sun's angle. She could not tell east from west. "Some of these trees were only saplings yesterday. Now everything looks different. We'll never make it." "Perhaps I can help," a voice called from above. Badge looked up and saw a white dove perched on a branch. She said, "Hi, my name is Badge, and this is Rock. Who are you?" "My name is Daniel," said the dove. "Daniel," said Rock, "we're trying to get to Eden. The serpent is on his way to tempt Eve." Badge cried, "Something is terribly wrong. The deceiver has overtaken the serpent. We must stop him." "I will show you the way," said Daniel. "Turn left. Move as quickly as you can." The badgers followed Daniel's lead until they reached a pond surrounded by ferns. The dove extended a wing and pointed to a tall tree across the pond. He said, "That tree stands on the edge of Eden. In the center of the garden, you'll find the woman and the serpent. Even as we speak, the serpent is trying to deceive her. He hopes to turn her against the Creator. Only Adam can help her now." "How do you know all this?" Badge asked. But the dove was gone. "Run!" shouted Rock, and they raced past the tree the dove had shown them. Soon they arrived in a vibrant fruit orchard with rows upon rows of trees. They sped past apple and pear, persimmon, and plum trees, and then past thick vines with large clusters of grapes. Arriving at the center of the garden, they noticed 2 trees, the tree of life and the tree that was forbidden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But Adam and Eve were nowhere to be seen. "We're too late," Badge said, as the late afternoon breeze stirred her fur. Moving hesitantly ahead, the badgers were startled by a sinister voice coming from the forbidden tree. My, gloated the voice. "Did you get lost in the forest?" Then, with a crash of branches, the serpent emerged from the tree and perched atop a stout branch. "Where is Adam?" demanded Badge. "And what have you done with Eve?" "I only gave them a choice, that's all," sneered the serpent. "I like the word choice. It sounds so independent." "Where are they?" Rock demanded. "Probably searching for clothes," the serpent smirked. "They need a little something to cover their shame." The 2 badgers looked at each other and gulped. The serpent continued. "When I introduced the woman to the fruit of this tree, she knew her eyes would be open. Can I interest you in the bite as well?" "That fruit's forbidden," shouted Rock. "Adam told me so when he gave us our names, at this very spot. We were eating grapes when Adam called us over and gave us our names. From now on, you will be called badgers. Badger is your kind." "Adam should have listened to his own advice," sneered the serpent. "Both he and the woman ate from this tree today." "That's impossible," Rock accused the serpent. "You're lying." "I don't normally enjoy telling the truth, but on this occasion it is my pleasure to announce the fall from grace of Adam and his bride. Step up and take a look. The evidence is clear." The serpent pointed with a bony claw to something lying in the grass to their right. There, on the ground with 2 bites chunked out, was a single forbidden fruit. "Do a little forensics, and you'll discover the smaller bite is that of the female. The larger belongs to Adam. The bitten fruit brings judgment. Death will come." The serpent cackled wildly. A voice interrupted the serpent. "Where are you, Adam?" It was the Creator, walking in the cool of the day. The serpent buried himself in the forbidden tree. Then Badge noticed 2 sets of feet beneath a thicket. "Look," she said to Rock. "There they are." Adam said to the Creator, "When I heard you in the garden, I hid because I'm naked." The Creator replied, "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the forbidden tree?" Adam, partially covered by an enormous fig leaf, emerged from the thicket. He pointed at Eve and said, "She gave me the fruit, so I ate it." God then asked Eve, "What have you done?" The woman, also partially covered in fig leaves, pointed toward the forbidden tree and said, "The serpent tricked me. I trusted him and ate." The badgers noticed the serpent's eyes glowing in the tree shadow. Then the Creator said to the serpent, "You did this very bad thing, so bad things will happen to you. It will be worse for you than for any other animal. You must crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life. I will make you and the woman enemies to each other. Your children and her children will be enemies. You will bite her child's foot, but he will crush your head." The serpent fell to the ground, his wings and legs stripped away. Humiliated, the snake slithered through the shadows and fled the garden. Then God turned to Eve and said, "When you give birth to children, you will have much pain. You will seek your husband's place, but he will rule over you." Then God turned to Adam and said, "I commanded you not to eat from that tree, but you listened to your wife and ate from it. So I will curse the ground because of you. You will have to work hard all your life for the food the ground produces. The ground will grow thorns and weeds for you, and you will have to eat the plants that grow wild in the fields. You will work hard for your food until your face is covered with sweat. You will work hard until the day you die, and then you will become dust again. I used dust to make you, and when you die, you will become dust again." Rock and Badge stood speechless as the Lord clothed the man and woman in animal skins. He then sent them out of the garden into the forest. God posted an angel guard with a flaming sword to prevent them from returning to the garden. Then the Creator left. "All is lost," cried Badge as they stood motionless in shock. "Adam and Eve will die. We will all die." Rock longed to comfort Badge, but he also felt afraid. Badge watched as a green sprout shot up from the ground, and a new vine wrapped itself around some ripe raspberries. The shoot sprouted hundreds of side branches, which immediately turned brown and stiff with thorns. Soon the berries were hidden amid the brambles. The two badgers hung their head in silence. "All is not lost," sounded a familiar voice. It was Daniel. "There is hope. Did you not hear the promise of the Creator? Did you not see him cover their shame?" "What promise?" Rock asked. "I heard only about a curse." "The promise is found in Eve's name," the dove replied. "Yes, Adam and Eve broke their fellowship with God, and yes, they've been barred from the garden. Their bodies, as well as the bodies of all creatures, will grow old and die, for through Adam's sin death has entered the world. But there is also mercy. The man and woman will bear a son. Through him shall the world be saved from this dreadful curse." "What about the serpent?" interrupted Rock. "He will strike the child's heel. I've seen his fangs. They're poisonous." "It will be through the promised son's death that he will have victory over the serpent and crush his head." "This seems impossible," said Rock. "I assure you it's not," said Daniel. "One day a son will be born. He will live a sinless life and yet be wrongfully put to death on a cross. The thorns that surround us now will form his crown. Today the Lord sacrificed 2 animals to cover Adam and Eve's sin. One day the future son will take away the sin of the world." "Must we also die?" Badge asked. "Yes," said Daniel. "Death is the judgment over every creature. But there is hope. Death will be defeated. The son will rise again in victory. Death has no claim over him. By his resurrection, he will crush the head of the serpent." "How do you know all this?" Badge asked the dove, but he was gone. "Where did he go?" "I don't know," answered Rock, "but we should get going if we want to be home before dark." The 2 badgers looked back at the garden one last time. They strained to see the flaming sword now almost hidden behind choking vines and thorns. With a sigh, they turned back around and fought their way through the undergrowth toward the ridge they called home, sorrowful that the joyous purity of the land now gave way to groans and longings to be free of the curse. Suddenly, they heard a laughing hiss from the shadows. Badge and Rock looked at each other and mouthed simultaneously, "The serpent!" Then the serpent said, "I am Legion, for we are many." He rose from the grass and bared his fangs, ready to strike. "He's only trying to scare us. Come on, Rock," Badge said as they raced ahead, leaving the serpent slithering behind. That day, the badgers made it safely to the burrow they called home. They continued to live full and adventurous lives. Adam and Eve tended grapevines that sprung up from the seeds. As long as they cut out the thorns and weeds, the vines prospered. Time passed as they waited for the child of promise to be born. As for the serpent, he persisted in his plan to rule the earth and thwart God's plan. As people grew in number, so did their wickedness. Ever did he work to tempt the children of man, and by the days of Noah, evil increased so that all the thoughts of people were only wicked all the time. But God had a plan to rid the world of wickedness. He would bring a flood to cleanse the land.
So, Marty, what do you hope kids take away from reading your books?
Well, I hope that when the kids are done the stories, they go to the back of the book and work through the section that I call the truth behind the tales. And that gives them an opportunity to actually read in the Bible the stories that I have fictionalized by having talking animals. Aside from a couple, Balaam the donkey and the serpent, of course, animals in the Bible don't talk. That's a spoiler. But you can go, kids, to the back of the book and you can do your very own Bible study. It's a Bible study geared to give kids the truth that they need to learn that was contained in the stories they just completed.
That's awesome. I love that you're including that in there so kids can enjoy the story and then they can dive deeper in studying the Bible and studying the stories that you talk about through the eyes of these animals. So Marty has generously offered to give away a copy of The Shadow of the Promise in our giveaway bundle for this season. So listeners, stay tuned for information later about how to enter to win this giveaway.
Marty, how can parents find you online to learn more about your books and purchase them for their kids?
They can go to my website, martymachowski.com. They can go to the publisher, newgrowthpress.com, or you can look me up on Amazon.
And I have to say, I'm a big fan of your books, Marty, of New Growth Press, too. And my daughter is too, and she loves so many of the books that we found through New Growth Press. So I definitely recommend checking that out, too. Marty, thanks so much for joining us. This has been really fun.
It has been fun, Becca and Amanda. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us on Ice Cream with Authors. I hope you enjoyed our chat and found a new favorite book or author to love. Remember, the adventure doesn't end here. There are always more stories to discover.
If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with your friends. If you want to keep the conversation going, send an email to icecreamwithauthors@gmail.com with your comments or questions. We might respond in an episode to come. Until next time, keep reading and sharing the stories you love.